What's up, Pirate Nation? I'm your host, David Heim, and welcome to a brand new episode, a brand new season of Hall Talk. We have a lot in store for you tonight. Our first episode back, we're going to talk about men's soccer, women's soccer, and volleyball. We're even going to have an exclusive interview with Seton Hall Athletic Director Pat Lyons. We have all that and more for you. This is Hall Talk.
This team needs to show me something for me to believe that they're going to make a run in the tournament.
I think they can have a chance of going over 35 wins without a problem.
Just stepping up from the 4 points to the 17, she's just dropping threes like there's no tomorrow.
But chemistry is an underrated key in college basketball.
That was by far the best game I've seen them play.
This is Hall Talk, and that's how the chalk talks.
Welcome back, and a lot has happened since our last show back in May, particularly with men's and women's basketball. Last month, Athletics announced that all players on the men's and women's basketball teams will receive a $2,600 stipend for travel and personal expenses. This comes after the NCAA announced earlier this year that it was now legal for players to receive stipends for team costs. Also on the hard court, there was a bit of a switch at the assistant coach position under Kevin Willard's regime. After being on the staff last season, Coach Dwayne Tiny Morton is returning to his former position of head coach at Lincoln High School. Taking his place is former Pirates assistant coach Grant Billmeyer, who held the role of coordinator of basketball ops from 2010 to 2013 before being promoted to director of basketball operations for the 2013-14 season. But perhaps the biggest news of the summer came just this past week as 2016 shooting guard Myles Powell announced his commitment to Seton Hall. Powell is currently ranked 76th on ESPN's top 100 list and is ranked 3rd in New Jersey. It's a big get for the 2016-17 campaign. Moving on, fall sports have been well underway. Our very own John Fanta caught up with Athletic Director Pat Lyons to discuss the upcoming fall seasons as well as everything else Seton Hall Athletics has in store this year. Take it away, John.
And I am now joined by the Seton Hall University Athletics Director, Pat Lyons. He is with us here on Hall Talk. And Pat, thanks so much for making some time for us. A new year is underway and so many new faces to Seton Hall Athletics across all of these sports programs. What are you looking forward to this year?
Just what we look forward to every year. I mean, just seeing our athletes come in here, and a lot of the athletes, let's face it, don't even go home. They're here for most of the year training and stuff. But once the school year starts, once all the students are back on campus, there's just a whole new vibe and buzz on a college campus that you really can't find anywhere else. That's why we're all in this business. It's just the energy that everybody brings, and so we're excited. And all the teams are off, and they've started the competitions, and we're in full swing. It's almost like summer was never here.
Well, you know what? At the end of summer, that is when all the construction really revved up once again, and the lobby of the rec center now going under some more renovations as they're starting to lay that glass, Pat. Give us the latest update to what's going on.
So the lobby project is obviously our latest project. It's a very expensive project, and it's a very detailed project, and so it'll be in a couple phases. In the first phase, as you see right now, anybody who's come into the lobby of the Richie Regan Center has noticed there was always that big kind of hole in the middle of it where you could see all the way from the basement all the way up to the ceiling. So what we've done is we've infilled that with a translucent glass. And the reason why we've done that is a couple reasons. The lobby, because of that hole, really was not really a functional space. And if the lobby was completed, it's just a much more free-flowing entrance through there, and certainly it'll be much more presentable as well. In addition to the glass going there, we're going to take the control desk, move that over to the center. We're going to obviously redo everything: the floors, the lights, the paint. We're going to add air conditioning, which we never had in there, so the HVAC will really enhance the area. And then we'll also, for athletic purposes, we're going to put a Hall of Fame in between where the pool is and where Walt's Gym is. We have a tremendous athletic history here that we all know about, but we don't really, it's all in the digital space right now. We don't have it actually in physical form, and so that will be sort of the last piece of that lobby renovation project, is to have this Hall of Fame. It'll be really neat. It'll be a really interactive digital LED type of Hall of Fame, and so it'll be really great for fans and family members to come by and at any time just walk through and just look at history.
Year 3 in this 10-member Big East Conference. How would you assess the league and where Seton Hall fits in it?
So I mean, the conference as a whole, if you told me, when I first started here 5 years ago and we knew conference realignment was coming, we knew some issues were on the horizon, if you had told me we would end up here, I would have signed on in a second, as would any AD in the Big East. I mean, this has been an absolutely incredible place for us. We added 3 amazing schools. You know, the great thing about our conference right now, and you hear all the ADs and the presidents say it, but it really is true, is we are 10 like-minded institutions. And, you know, that philosophy really makes for a great conference and great partnerships. And certainly Fox. I mean, Fox being a major player in this partnership has been fantastic. The exposure that our athletes have had, we've never had in this league. We've never had all men's basketball games on national TV. We've never had so many women's games this year. We're going to have 6 women's games on Fox, which we've never had that. And now the Olympic sports too, with the Big East Digital Network, which I know you're a part of, and the Fox Sports Go app. So all in all, across the board, I think it's great. Where does Seton Hall fit in? I mean, I think obviously we fit in pretty well. We last year went to the NCAA tournament in 3 sports, which was fantastic. Another could have, and would have, should have, whatever. In softball, they just lost in the finals, but they were up. So I think we fit pretty well, and that's our goal. Our goal is to be competitive across the board.
Let's look at one last thing here before we go. I want to talk about this fan base and the fact that you had great attendance, or record attendance in Walsh Gymnasium last year, and you had outstanding attendance at the Prudential Center as the season continued on. What would your message be to the fans this year?
Well, my first message is always thank you. You know, our fans have been fantastic. You know, you're right. Walsh Gym, we had the highest attendance we've had, I think, in the history of the women's basketball. And at the Prudential Center, that was the highest attendance we've had at the Prudential Center as well. So both were records. So it's fantastic. So obviously, the first thing is always to thank the fans for coming out, but also to get excited about this year. I mean, as I said, I think we have 2 really good teams. We're very excited about it, and you can reassure the athletes are working hard right now. And they've been, especially men's and women's basketball, they've been here all summer. There's been no days off. There's been days off, but no weeks or months off. They're just getting after it, and we're looking forward to it. We got a great schedule. The women start off playing Princeton and Rutgers at home. You know, Princeton obviously went undefeated all the way into the NCAA tournament, and Rutgers has a great history and a great coach. And then on the men's side, we have Wichita State coming in, which I'm willing to bet at that point when they come in, they'll be top 5 in the country. Yep. Georgia is going to be top 25 in the country. So we've got really good schedules on both sides. So we're excited, and and that was important to us as well. You know, we wanted to give our fans a really good schedule. You know, we want to make sure that if they're buying a season ticket package, if they're investing in us, that we're giving them a good schedule and some good teams coming in, and I think we've done that.
I think one thing I've observed just in the recent weeks, talking to some new athletes, talking to a bunch of people around the Seton Hall Athletics family, is that you believe, and your department believes, in so much more than the wins and the losses. It's so much more than results here. They talk about the fact that they've also come here for the experience.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So when I arrived here 5 years ago, you know, we instituted a student-athlete-centered mission here and vision, and that really, at our core, no matter all else, we're here to give our student-athletes a great experience. And I'm always overwhelmed by how great of experience our athletes are getting right now. You know, people have heard me say this, 100 times. If you're a student-athlete, every facility that you use right now is brand new, and that has never been the case here. So whether it's academic center, weight room, locker rooms, film rooms, the whole list of things, training room, it's all brand new. And certainly the administration, the coaches within the athletic department are committed to that student athlete experience and vision. And so that's why I always say it's a great time to be a Pirate.
Onward for the Hall, as Pat Lyons has been able to move this department forward since he took over as the athletics director. Pat, thanks so much.
Thanks, John.
And for Hall Talk, I'm John Fanta.
Thanks, John. And at this time, I'd like to bring in my panel for this evening. Aaron Ross, George Balekji. Guys, thanks for joining me this evening.
Thanks for having us.
Of course, Dave, it's good to be back. Like you said, a brand new season.
Right.
All the happenings you have, you capped it off. Miles Powell coming in. The basketball players getting their stipends, but right now it's fall season. We're going to have plenty of basketball later on in the year.
Well,
I like that we're focusing in on all these programs right now.
All right, so let's go. A lot to talk about this evening. We're going to start with women's soccer, guys, and not really the best of starts to the 2015 campaign. They're 1-6-2 currently. The biggest issue, and I'll start with you, George, they just can't score enough.
I look at that as a big issue, and like you said, that Amanda Gully, if it wasn't for her last-second goal, the bicycle kick, just an overall athletic play against Albany, we wouldn't be talking about with a 1 in front of there. There'd just be another loss on the column. But where they have their strengths is simply in the back line. With Kathy Chikuka, Emily Hansinger, and Deanna Riley, that's the backbone of this team.
Right.
They hold it down. And then you talk about Elisa Blackshear stepping up when it's needed. To go into a double overtime game and not let up a goal, that's a lot of shots to be attempted. But because of the back line the Pirates have, they limited the shots in Albany. That's what happens. It's kind of amazing, you'd think, what their record would be, especially with this young team, if they had a score, if they had someone that they could go to at any moment that they could really set them up for. Because this defense keeps them in the games. the offense is what keeps them out of wins.
That's exactly right. You know, because it does start with the back line. You need some way to transition forward. The back line can get you there, but we have no one up there right now. We have Jackie St. John. We have Andrea Fiorino in the midfield. They can control it in the middle there, but there's no one up top they can feed it to. Because I know when they get subbed in and out, Fiorino, she comes in the game, she's an instant impact to this team. She brings them forward, other sides of the field, switching it up. But really, it's just the back line holding them down, like you said. And we've worked around, we've used 3 different goalies this year and still have somewhat held some teams back. We've gone against a fiery offense in St. Joseph's and held them to, I believe, just 2 goals. One was a ridiculous shot from about 35 yards out in the upper 90. But the defense is really what is keeping this team going.
The defense is definitely more stable, but it's kind of hard. Like you said, when your offense can't get a rhythm going, it puts a lot more added pressure onto the defense, which is where those goals are probably coming from. George?
I would just like to add on. I mean, when you look at, you talk about what the defense has kept them in, the 3 different goalies they've had. I think they found something sound, and they found a rock in Elisa Blackshear. Perhaps there's more going on, but head coach Rick Stain, for him to put her in that moment was big. This is the 6th shutout of her career. All 6 of those shutouts have been double overtime games, and that's where you really look for it. That's big stepping time. Up. It is. And it's showing that she could stick in. She could keep her team in it. It's a classic saying, defense wins championships. This by no means is a championship team. This is a young team. They have an experienced back line, like I've said, but this is still an inexperienced team. They're going when they put the pieces together and when everything comes to fruition, and Coach Stan, like he said, with this win, it shows the process that they get, what they have to go through. They're not going to win every match.
No.
When everything finally falls into place, I don't expect it to happen this year. When this team gets experience, they take steps forward. That's when it'll be big, especially starting at this defense.
I want to jump over to the men's side. Like we're talking with the women's team, big problem is scoring goals. There's a bigger problem than not being able to score goals, and that's not being able to win. And the men's team right now is sitting at 0-5-1. They're looking to get their first win this Saturday against Creighton. Now, you guys have both seen this team more in-depth with Pirate Sports Network. Are they close? Are they on the verge of getting a win, or is there something that they're going to have to switch things up a bit moving on in the season?
They definitely have something to change up. I mean, their last game against Monmouth, it was nothing but set pieces. And I saw them today in practice. They were working on those a lot. And we got a big game coming up this weekend against #1 in the nation, the Creighton Blue Jays.
Right.
And it's the first game in Big East play. I was talking to a few players like Sam Geiler. He was saying how it's like a start of a new season. And now I'm looking at this. I did not expect to see the women's be the one team that had the only win entering Big East play. I expected the men's to have a few more, but they're actually staying positive here, looking to start anew and get going.
That's it right there. You bring it up with Sam Geiler talking about it. He seems to be the lightning that they have on that team, but still, they just don't have that goal scorer that they can look to. You talk about how they practice the set pieces. It's the little things that they're losing on, and that's really not adding up, and that's where this team is being hindered.
Exactly.
Even go back to games such as Udell, a simple cross set up. It was a back corner kick. It fell right at the goalie's hands and into an own goal. They're really shooting themselves in the foot there a lot. And for #1 Creighton to come to town, you look for a win. This team will get a win this season. The ball will fall their way. I think it has to.
Right.
But against #1 Creighton, last time they beat a #1 in the country was 1998, and it was against UConn way back in the day. I don't see it happening this weekend.
I could very well see it happen. The only reason why I say
this is tough.
It'll be a tough one. It'll have to be a 1 or a 2-1 win.
Yeah.
But no, we played Creighton once in each of the past 2 years. We beat them once, 3-2. We lost at Creighton, 3-2. We're the only team in the past 2 seasons that they've played against that has scored a total of 5 goals. Other than Providence, who did it in 4 games, we did it in 2. For some reason, when Seton Hall plays top-notch teams, we come out and compete.
Well, that's something you want in your teams. You never want them to play down to the competition. But the only way the Pirates win, and it's not going to be a name that wears the blue and white, it's going to be on Creighton. That's Fabian Herbers.
Yeah.
If they contain him, then I can see that happening.
They need to take Creighton away from playing their own game and playing the Pirate way.
This is a lone unbeaten team in the nation, outscoring their opponents 15-1, 15-1. That's a lot. You expect Seton Hall to put up a goal. It's tough to say.
It depends on how the defensive plays.
Let's agree on one thing. This might be the best team the Pirates play all year. So if anything,
that's for sure.
It's a building block.
That's a guarantee.
So win or loss, they're going to be able to grow from this. They're playing a very good competition. They'll move on from Creighton. Like I said, win, loss, or draw. They'll be able to build up playing a very, very tough opponent.
That is for sure.
You got to like that they're looking at Big East play as a fresh start.
Exactly.
They need to forget everything they've done up to this point.
Everything in the past is forgotten for them.
So let's transition from the pitch now to the court. We'll go indoors to women's volleyball. They're sitting at 6-6. They had some good hot start, notably win over Notre Dame at the beginning of the season. Their next match Friday at Creighton, but I want to talk about the emergence of Tessa Fournier at the libero role. We haven't had a solid libero since Elisa Warren. Well, we went right to Tessa Fournier. How has she stepped into the role 2 years removed from Warren? How has Tessa Fournier taken on that leadership role for the Pirates?
It's really been huge. I mean, this freshman team, it's all freshmen, really. Like I just said, they lost 6 seniors from last year. Fournier, she really wasn't a leader all last year. She had to learn from the Manthorpes, all the other players around her, but she really needed to pick it up because all the freshmen that are in there, they don't really know what to do. They're not used to the collegiate level of competitiveness, and she's really just teaching them what to do because they're very inconsistent.
I think what it comes down to is you see where Tessa and her emergence as a leader just comes from all time she's played last season between her and Amanda Hansen, more importantly.
Yes.
And that was with the Manthorpe twins. That was a team that liked when they saw their opponent, they had a sense of urgency where they wanted to make the team against them never want to step foot in Walsh Gymnasium ever again. They really lack that this season. It's nothing against the ladies, it's just they're young. But when you look at that, you have to look at the upside they have. Danielle Schroeder is an outside hitter. She gets it done. Other side, though, you got to see Grace Foreign. She needs to step up. And you also go to Sophia Coffey. To me, she's one of the biggest parts under the belt of Tessa Fournier. Wherever she puts the ball, that's where the scoring comes from. 51 assists against Binghamton doesn't just happen out of nowhere. You talk about them beating Notre Dame. First time they ever won a set. First time they ever beat the Fighting Irish in a match. Sophia Coffey, that whole weekend at the Seton Hall Classic had a big deal, and that's what it was. She has a big impact on it. And Tessa just defensively, she's getting out there 20 digs a match. That's what you need to see from them as well. She brings back what they had last season, and that was the best team ever to come to this program. First time in national championship, finished second in the Big East. What they accomplished as well, it's just a lot younger, a lot less experience, minus the 6 seniors, like you said.
Exactly.
Yeah, there definitely is a lot of changeover for Coach Yeager's team. We'll see if a couple of the older girls, particularly Tessa Fournier, can step up and kind of lead the way for the Pirates this season. Well, guys, we're back, and it's better than ever. And it's well underway, the fall sports, and we're very excited to be here throughout the year to bring it all to you. For Aaron Ross and George Balekji, I'm David Heim. So long, everyone.